Okay, so I grabbed some footage of your 6 shutout inning start at home against Cincinnati, and this was damn fun to watch, man. And I I've got a little Easter egg at the tail end, but I just kind of want to walk us through a couple of notable ABs that you had, a couple of notable matchups that you had with a couple of guys, and you interject wherever. Obviously this is best via YouTube, but we did this a good bit last year, so I'm sure same exact deal for you.
Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, please. Love you all.
Hit that subscribe button. So 2 out, nobody on top 1. You get 97 on the outer edge, and then you follow with that knuckle curve, which was killer in this 3-pitch punch out to Mike Ford. Man, did you feel that knuckle curve like going into the game in the bullpen?
Yeah, that one's a finicky one. There's like a certain thing I have to feel with my elbow, like how it's leading, and it's kind of like really out there, like pitching talk in the way that I think of it. But I try and make kind of shapes with my arm. That's how I think of certain pitches. So for curveball, to me, largely people will teach you to just like go like that, right? Like, oh, we're going to make it curve. For me, it's largely like trying to get my elbow to lead and then my hand follow it, almost like the back of it's going forward. And for me, that feels like what a wave crashing would look like from the side, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And you have to have room in your elbow to do that, right? That elbow has to be able to bend in for it to get that kind of laggy feeling. And this was one of the first times in a while that I've felt that. So, typically, if I can get it to start operating under, with that shape, at least in my head, then it's been pretty good. And, I think obviously we talked about the velocity a little bit, but like it's just not the same. My fastball is not quite what it probably was in 2018 or 19 or whatever. But I think that just makes this pitch that much more important for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have a simple fandom question because you're talking about feel, and this just comes from me watching these starts. Does it feel better to land a hammer knuckle curve, or does it feel better to land 97 on the black? Like after you're done with that pitch, which just feels cooler?
I think most guys like throwing heaters, to be honest with you.
But that is beautiful. Look at that slider again.
Yeah,
look at that knuckle curve. I mean,
so good.
It's just it's Kershaw-esque. It's just the whap. See you later.
Yeah, how about Will Smith right here? This is ball 1. Hell of a frame job.
Yeah, both look so good. I was just like, I wonder which one he likes better, or like which one feels better.
100%. So let's jump. I think an inning later, right? Top of the second, you got a man at first base, or top 3. Hurtubise can move. So I know like you're playing a little bit of that mental game with this guy who just got up, but I mean, the book on him in the minor leagues was he absolutely flies.
Yeah.
Have you gotten quicker to the plate out of the stretch in your career, or is it something that, you've always really, tried to be quick and, you'll, I don't know, place a bit more of an emphasis on the base runners if the situation demands it?
No, I mean, I'm probably a little quicker now than I used to be, just because there's a lot of things that are trying to incentivize the run game too now that weren't in there probably 2 years ago. And, we were talking about the little things that are different. Like that's one of them. The running game is much more important, and Cincinnati runs. So I think in this scenario, that's probably something we're a little more focused on.
Yeah.
He's also got a Henry Clay Blue Devil first base coach over there. So.
Does he really? Who is that?
Yeah, that guy. That's Colin Cowgill.
How about
he was he was the big man at Henry Clay when I was coming up.
Did he have appointments with Dr. K too in high school?
I imagine that he did. Yes.
Understood.
His dad actually coached us a little bit when I was in high school.
Really? How about that? All right. So you're seeing Benson here. You got 2 men out in the third, and you start with 95 on the outer black.
Pain.
And then you work inside. This is that cutter at 91.
Yeah.
And you've been going to that cutter a good bit your first couple. And then a breaking ball drops low. But how has the cutter kind of felt start by start?
Yeah, I mean, I think largely we talked through it, the catchers and I, and the first 2 games we were trying to throw a lot of 0-0 cutter. And especially to righty, it's kind of a different feel for me because to the righty, you're trying to make it kind of go down a little bit more. And kept missing it. I don't know if I threw one good one my first 2 starts. So we kind of went away from that like in zone cutter early, but it's still to lefties kind of probably the most important throw for me. And I'm usually trying to throw that ball up and in. Not, you can see where Will's set up is kind of that up and in. So this is actually not a very good throw. It just got left enough that it didn't hurt me.
And still, you can see Benson thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this guy's got a ton of power. You know, I found that out in Cincy the next week. But like you're trying to tie him up in some way, just long levers, a lot of power. I think typically you're going to try and slow him down like we are there, and then kind of get him in so he can't get extended.
Yeah. So after a breaking ball misses low, then you go heater. What was it? Heater up.
Yeah.
For a whiff at strike 2. So that's 95 upper outside corner. And then you follow with that same look and you almost got him to bite again, which like that breaking ball, I assume you're hoping to have that tunnel off of 4 seam at the top of the zone.
Yeah. I mean, the second curveball there is like an even better take than the first one for him, just because you've gone curveball on 1-1.
Yeah.
And then throwing a fastball kind of right out of that tunnel. And then you put a curveball really in that same tunnel again. So you've got 2 looks out of the same tunnel already. And so that's a really good take by him. I think largely my first 2 starts, I was having trouble landing breaking balls at all or throwing breaking balls for strikes. So their offensive kind of plan probably was largely to not swing at spin. So I don't know if that is part of kind of this equation of that at bat, but 2 really good takes on curveballs.
Wait,
dude, I'm
Jack,
just thinking. Yeah,
wait 1 sec. Look at where that ball is paused right now.
I know. I'm going to go back to the fastball. So for sure, like you got that, you have it paused right here, and then it ends up there. But I'm going back to the heater too. Like heater stops at the same spot here.
Same spot.
So it's at this point where it snaps off. So breaking ball low, it's a good take from Benson, and then full count, you go. What, cutter in, he fouls it off.
Yeah.
And then 3-2 again, 97 dotted at the knees. Adios. End of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, after watching that one, I think the answer to my original question was the heater. I mean, that's electric. 97 at the bottom of the zone. Perfect.
Yeah. And now we got Ellie, and you start him with
cutter.
Okay. You start him with a cutter. Yeah. What'd you feel?
Yeah, it's a bad cutter. You can see where we're trying to go, and then that just kind of gets dumped in there, but you get away with them.
So, Jack, I'm really glad that you brought this Ellie at bat, because I wanted to ask you, Walker, what the scouting report is like for a guy like this, because you had a ton of success off him, right? In this series or in your back-to-back starts, you went 1 for 6, but you struck him out 3 times, and his only hit was a base hit up the middle. So you had a lot of success against him. It was a
big hit, though. I think that's part of it, right? I think, obviously, like, we're not talking about a 35-year-old like pro hitter that's had 10,000 at bats or whatever. Like,
yeah,
he's as talented as anyone, and those kind of guys, you got to kind of not give them a chance to like make a good guess. And I did finally in that last at bat, but this at bat we handled it pretty well, just kind of jumping around. Obviously that the cutter, you can kind of get away with some stuff like that, especially away, and then.
Yeah.
Then the 0-1 it's just a tough one for him, I think, just because it's moving back and hard to spin. And then you've got him in a spot where now he knows he has to move out because that ball in. And so anything that's kind of dying, I think he's going to have a tough time in like the 0-2 situation, especially off heater in.
Yeah.
I remember this AB, and I've watched all of your starts so far, and I thought that was the best AB that you've had against a hitter. I mean, this was 3 straight exactly. It looked like to me where you wanted it. Like even Will Smith on that cutter where he was set up, it originally looked like you hit your spot. Then you dot the cutter, and then that curveball is absolutely, you dot the 2-seamer going in, and then immediately it's that perfect curveball. Did you feel maybe after that AB you said it yourself, I handled it. Like, did it feel like one of the best of the year?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, certainly, like, given kind of how the first couple starts went to get through the first couple innings clean, and he's, at this point, they're talking about him going 30 and 100 and all this stuff, and he's playing really well. So he's an important guy in that lineup to like keep off the bases more than anything, and just not having that many innings under my belt and the run game and all these little things, right? Like, I think you're just happier that I'm not going to have to be hearing like slide step in my little earpiece. And so, no, it's a good one. And glad we kind of dealt with him well the first time.
Real quick, what is that voice? Is that Siri? Like, is it a Siri-esque voice?
No, it can be recorded. So I think you can have like different people if you want. I don't even know who the voice in my head is or in my headset, but no, like I think if I really wanted to, you can go in and like I could record my own ones if I wanted.
I think you could reach out to like Theo Vaughn or something to get him to voice the pitch comp stuff. You want to do that?
I think I would be a little too mean. So, like I would say some horrific things to myself if I really could, but yeah, I bet Theo would do it. I think he would enjoy that.
Yeah, I think he would have a good time. And then this is the last one that I wanted, just because like it's clear that you're having fun and this game was working slow for you and you cracked the smile, like based on what happened in Miami, and you're laughing to end the second here. Fielding.
Yeah, I messed up that play in both of my first two starts, so we finally got one done.
Third time's the charm.
That's right.